I'm about to embark on a long-awaited journey with ketamine. Hey guys, welcome back to Joey Talks. My name is Joey, and this is where we talk about mental health for the everyday person. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I am someone who has suffered with depression all of my life. Anxiety really peaked a few years ago, and I had a lot of things fall apart in my life. And part of my quest with coping and learning to deal with depression on a daily basis has always been to find a treatment that could help to really make some permanent change. Obviously, there are lots of antidepressants out there on the market, and I've tried a lot of them, maybe 6 or 7 different antidepressants, and only one has really worked for me, which was Lexapro. But at that, it only worked for the first 9 to 12 months, and then after that, I just stayed on it so I didn't have to experience withdrawals. I have always been fascinated with the research going into psychedelics, things like LSD, psilocybin, ketamine, because these treatment options didn't approach depression the same way that other antidepressants have in the past. Traditional antidepressants typically help to increase the amount of serotonin or other neurotransmitters to be more readily available to your synapses so that you get more of those feel-good hormones, which would offset some of your depressive symptoms. And again, while effective for a lot of people, they don't actually help to solve any of the fundamental or core problem that is causing the depression. So when I first heard about psychedelic therapy, I was very curious about it. I think I have watched every documentary that has been put out there online about psychedelic therapy, and I have read a ton on it, and I have followed pages and people and YouTube channels, really because I feel like this is the next step in mental health breakthrough when it comes to issues dealing with depression, anxiety, PTSD, OCD, those types of issues. I have been wanting to do ketamine for over a year and a half, maybe 2 years. It was legalized and FDA approved for ketamine treatments to be done in a therapeutic session where the purpose of it is to treat depression. Some of the other psychedelics like LSD and psilocybin are still being studied. There are lots of clinical trials going on all throughout the country to see if these substances work in a similar way to how ketamine has been so effective in treating depression. So stay tuned because I can put money on it. Those will also be approved in the upcoming years for use in the same purpose. I'm starting this series because I want to take you guys with me on this ketamine journey. I am going to create videos that will showcase me during the sessions, what's happening to me, how it makes me feel afterwards. And these will be a little different than my typical videos. You know, I typically sit here and talk to you like this, but these will be a little more in my real life, being able to observe how I am during ketamine, and again, its effects after the sessions. I will be making a few more videos kind of explaining to the best of my knowledge of how ketamine works. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know the technical ins and outs of it, but I do have a pretty good understanding as someone who has read about it and kind of obsessed over it for the last few years. But in case you're wondering, what ketamine does, in my understanding, is our brains, obviously as we get older, they have like highways in them, which are the ways in which the brain communicates different messages to itself. And as you get older, those highways get more and more deep, more refined. They become more concrete. And it's harder to break those or to change those or to create new highways in the brain. And what they've noticed is people who suffer with depression long term, our communication lines, our highways, we don't have as many of them, and or they don't work as well as someone who doesn't suffer with depression. And so what something like ketamine does is it disrupts those messages for a few moments and creates neuroplasticity, which just means the ability for the brain to start creating new connections. And so this works really well for depression because it is getting to the root cause. It is disrupting the very fundamental reason why someone like myself would be stuck in these depressive loops, is because we have these inroads that are playing the same story, seeing our perception being the same way, interpreting information the same way, and so therefore we end up with the same result. So when someone undergoes ketamine treatment, not only are those pathways disrupted, but it's also kind of like turning back time and making the brain not as rigid in the way that it's communicating with itself, which gives the ability for the brain to start learning new patterns, new perspectives, new ways of seeing things. And this is why ketamine therapy is typically done alongside with a therapist using cognitive behavioral therapy, because if you got this new brain of sorts that is now able to learn new patterns, new belief systems, new ways of seeing the world, you couple that with cognitive behavioral therapy and you have a match made in heaven. So I will be getting into a lot more detail on all of these. This is just a very high level, very general understanding of why I want to do this, why I want to take you guys along for the ride with me, and why I think it will make a huge difference in my life. Without getting into too many details about how it all works, I will be going over that stuff in the next few videos, but I did find an online provider called Better You, just the letter U. And the thing I loved about these guys is it's so much more affordable. You can go get ketamine infusions like with an IV, but they can cost anywhere from like $800 to $1,500 per infusion. But with Better You, I do everything from my own home, which I love. I'm able to connect with a psychiatrist to get that initial, intake, and they get an understanding of my condition and why I'm wanting to do ketamine. They prescribe me an amount that would be appropriate for me. And then they have like a members portal that kind of walks you through the whole thing. When I'm ready to take the ketamine, I have a buddy with me or a friend that's going to be there for me in case I need to get up and use the bathroom or need help in any way. But they are so much more affordable and obviously really convenient because you can do it in the comfort of your own home. So yeah, they sent me this nice little journal. They sent me this mask to wear because it's best to not be looking around when you're doing ketamine. And they also sent me a blood pressure cuff just to monitor your blood pressure while you are doing your therapy. I would definitely recommend that you go check out their website. They don't offer ketamine treatments in all 50 states. They have it in certain states. I can't remember which ones they are. But if this does really interest you the way it's interested me, go check out their site. If you do set up a free consultation, make sure you tell them that Joey sent you. I was able to talk to one of the owners of the company and really love his heart and believe in what they're doing, making it so much more accessible and affordable for people who typically wouldn't be able to afford ketamine infusions, but probably really could benefit from them. So that's my long story short, sort of short. If you want to learn more, definitely go check out Better You. I'll put the link in the description below just to peruse and see what they're all about. Maybe this is something that you would want to consider doing as well. Maybe you want to go along for the ride with me before you consider doing it. Either way is totally cool. And there's a ton of information here on YouTube, so just go search around if you're curious about psychedelic assisted therapy or you're curious about ketamine specifically. There is so much information right now because it is really a buzz in the mental health world. If you're new here or you just stumbled on this video, I would invite you to subscribe to my channel so you never miss out on any of the action. Also hit the little bell if you don't ever want to miss a notification. And if you ever want to connect with me, you can do so really easily, either via Zoom or text message by going to joeytalks.com. Thanks guys for hanging out with me for a few minutes today. Again, my name is Joey. This is Joey Talks, where we talk about mental health for the everyday person.